Hi, welcome to the show. My guest tonight here is Don Schwartz, a man that I've gotten to know very, very well and seems to know his way around the old law books and the Constitution.
I try real hard, Don.
Don, thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having
Especially
me.
at a short time that I called you and asked you to come on. Don, I want to read something to you because I want to make this quick. This is something here, because first of all, do we have a right? This is about gun rights tonight. Second Amendment, gun rights. The Heller case. You know exactly.
Miller, yes,
all
yep,
of them.
all of them.
What is your feeling on the Heller case and where the individual stands on guns
Well,
and their rights?
when a court interprets a law, such as was done in the Heller case, they take and they find the lowest common denominator to which it applies. In other words, to the rights of the citizens. So when the U.S. Supreme Court decided Heller, they stated that every American has the right to keep and bear arms. But not only that, but they also took into conjunction was the fact that there was a previous case called South versus Maryland from 1859 that says you cannot sue the police for not protecting you. The police are not obligated to protect you because the police, if you read the Constitution real closely, are not even mentioned in there. But yet the right to keep and bear arms is. And so that would accord itself to every citizen that from South versus Maryland saying that there is no obligation of the police to protect anyone. You cannot sue the police if they do not protect you, and they could have stopped a crime. By default, then, the Supreme Court understood in Heller that every citizen is obligated, and by default, has the right to protect themselves. And what, how would you do that? Well, you wouldn't own a 16-inch naval cannon, but you would carry a handgun or possibly a rifle, and you might even practice with semi-automatic firearms, because again, the police are not there to protect anybody. They're there to show up after the circumstance.
Right.
They cannot stop a crime before it happens. I mean, you just can't call in and say, I'm being threatened by somebody. I mean, in some rare instances, they will protect, like the president or other political figures, but not your neighbor down the street. They have to wait until a crime has actually occurred. So when you break it down, the Supreme Court must take and ensure that for all lawful citizens, this right applies to them. Not to a certain segment of society over here or over there, but to every citizen. And that's my view on it.
Mm-hmm. Now that you've said that,
yes,
you walked me right into this here, and let me just read this. Something I got today. It's from the United Press International, Washington D.C. Deputy Attorney Designate David Osgood is making a draft of an executive order in which other things are firearms. As an assistant to Osden told us, it appears that in these changing times, it is no longer necessary to allow the elderly to be armed. Okay? To leave them in control of a deadly weapon would be ludicrous. Okay? While the executive order may sound too powerful, experts in constitutional law state that it is not actually unconstitutional. It is a question of wording. State Columbian law professor Dr. John Boxton, the Constitution forbids the Congress, that is the legislative branch, from passing any law infringing on gun ownership. The executive branch is not considered included as long as Congress does not get involved. The Justice Department was tossing the idea around of banning guns for seniors during the Carter and the Clinton administration, but public opinion stopped. Now the Obama White House believes different. An unnamed aide close to Osgood agreed to talk on the condition of anonymity. Okay, and then they go on to talk about how Carter and Clinton tried again, this blah 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 blah, and then it gets down here. It says this is somebody in the Obama administration with anonymity asking not to have his name given out. It is likely that the weapons will be seized, similar to the Great Britain handgun ban, which citizens widely gave their weapons in. it is experienced that an executive order will be given around July 1st. For 8 years, you have seen the rolling back of regulations on guns, and crime has skyrocketed. Excuse me. In fact, Massachusetts alone, murder has risen 50% since 2002. Armed robbery has also risen. My question to you, Don. Okay, first of all, that's blatantly unconstitutional.
Well,
60 years or older. But I just want to get to this last part first about crime has risen in Massachusetts. And what they're telling people in this article is they're saying that because gun laws have been laxed, Massachusetts, they haven't. They've added since 1992.
No, you're exactly right.
It really,
Yeah.
you know me.
You're at a loss for words.
Yeah, it really irks me
Sure.
that when the media will just run with lies like this.
Yes, they will. No, I mean, as you stated, since 1998, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has enacted some very strict and onerous laws. The evils that these laws are to correct, nobody knows what they are. The number of licensed gun owners has gone from 1 million to under 200,000, but yet the crime rate and the murder rate with firearms has increased. So does that tell us that these laws, which have only applied to the lawful citizen, evidently don't appear to do anything to the criminals? And people don't understand that. They think it's so simplistic that if they pass the law, I mean, Bill Clinton enlisted in the Army Reserves, and he deserted. Who cares about the law? I mean, we have a deserter as president, and I can prove that fact many times over. But what good are laws that apply only to the lawful citizen and have no effect upon the criminals themselves? It's like registering virgins to stop prostitution. It's completely moronic and asinine. And furthermore, you were talking of the executive orders. Executive orders only apply over federal agencies. They don't apply over citizens. No executive order applies to a citizen.
Explain that.
Well, the president is authorized to issue executive orders to take and deal with laws already in effect. Example, the draft law, all right, back in the 1960s, etc. The president could take and write executive orders regarding those people who were affected by the draft registration, all right? Under the Gun Control Act of 1968, that only applies to commercial dealers and manufacturers and such. They might be able to issue an executive order, but once you've purchased the firearm, you're now a private owner of the firearm. I don't know who this person is, and I don't know what constitutional scholars there are, but they're blithering idiots. An executive order does not apply to you and does not apply to me unless a law has been enacted that manages us into some sort of control, such as the draft. If you're a federally firearm gun licensee and you deal in firearms, an executive order may apply to you. But if you've purchased a firearm, where does the executive order apply? So, I mean, it's completely illogical that somebody said this, and worse off yet, it scares me that somebody would say this, imagining it to be true.
I think at the last part of it, though, I mean, the gentleman, the aide to this district attorney general of the United States, just basically he's saying that they're going to, the people will let them take them, Well, that's basically what he's saying. The people will let them take them.
Oh, just come in and take my property? Are the people going to be recompensed the monies? Are these firearms going to be tracked down to find out if they were used in crimes? What if you have a firearm you're not supposed to have? Are you going to be now criminally charged? This is, again, this is the peak of idiocy and moronic.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.